Hello, people, welcome back to the show. This is episode 69, and today I want to talk about toxic productivity and how to spot it. But first, some context. If you're anything like me, you're an ambitious, curious, overachiever, you aim high and you get after it. And if you're not and want to do more and be better, then consider this episode a warning, so you don't make the same mistake I did. Now, the internet is awash with various types of content encouraging you to get up and to grind and to get after it and to work hard. There is a plethora of massively popular, ultra productive people on social media. I'm thinking your Jocko Willinks, your Alex Hermoses, and your David Gogginses. And don't get me wrong, I have nothing per se against their message. I think they have helped a great many people who struggle with the opposite problem of the overachiever, that of struggling to get off the couch or struggling to find the motivation to do so. I think these people have their place within our culture. I think their message is needed to some degree for a great many people. However, when you're the type of person who has the motivation to get after it, when you're the type of person who is naturally productive, or you're the type of person who enjoys aiming upwards and enjoys the process of moving towards that aim, when you're the type of person who struggles to stop and sit on the couch every once in a while, the messages you're getting from the ultra-productive or the ultra-disciplined can become toxic. Again, just to reiterate, and I'm sure these guys would say the same, if you don't like their message, go somewhere else. And for me personally, that's what I needed to do. It's not that I don't like their message, it's that it's not helpful to me as I am just now at this stage in my life. For the past decade, I've cultivated this mindset of get things done, of making higher goals to become better, of planning and writing to-do lists to achieve those higher goals, of structuring my days so that I can achieve what I want to achieve physically, professionally, and academically. And that's all well and good. That mindset has produced some amazing results, 2 master's degrees, and the innate motivation to work hard at something like this for no external reward. This podcast, of course, is an example, and I'm sure that this curated mindset will bring more amazing results. However, there are no solutions, only trade-offs, as Thomas so well said. There are no free lunches, and cultivating that mindset, watching and listening to these ultra-disciplined and ultra-productive individuals, working hard the majority of the time, concentrating the majority of your efforts on being better, and focusing upwards, has its costs. The costs for me, and I'm sure for many others, is we swung too far towards productivity and discipline to such an extreme extent, that we now struggle to do the opposite. We now struggle to stop. We find sitting still unproductive. We find unticked boxes on our to-do lists a failure. We find doing anything but getting after it unbearable. Enter toxic productivity. Now, this whole realization for me started, as it started for many others, with Oliver Burkeman. Oliver Burkeman is the best-selling author of 4,000 Weeks. And I first became aware of him on the Modern Wisdom podcast, and I quickly bought the book and invited him onto my podcast, which you can watch somewhere up in the corner here, or I'll have it linked in the show notes below. But anyway, 4,000 weeks is roughly how long each of us has on Earth if we live to 80 years old. And when you look at it like that, that doesn't sound very long. Burkeman then shines a light on the problems we face in relation to time and action and comes up with a solution. The solution is a better relationship to our very limited time on this planet. It's not just a case of better time management, as many of us have come to believe. The goal isn't to find more ways to squeeze more out of the terminally fixed time we have, but rather to decide what truly matters and make peace with what we won't get done. Oliver said he's had people come up to him and say this, but I genuinely felt like this book was written about me and the specific problems I face. For the past decade, I've spent my time unwittingly attempting to squeeze more and more out of the day, frantically rushing around to tick all of the boxes, and thank God I read this book, because that's a surefire recipe for disaster. It's a surefire recipe for burnout. And that's what I'm talking about when I say toxic productivity. It's when you feel pressure to do everything. It's when you are whipping yourself into submission like a slave master, when you feel like you're proving yourself to others, when you don't acknowledge an end point, when there's no goal to indicate you're done, or when there's no end time to trigger rest. That's when you need to re-examine your behavior. That's when you know that your mindset has become toxic. It's when your self-worth becomes dependent on what you do, not who you are. It's when you're using productivity as a distraction from the bigger questions or as a distraction from your emotions. That's when you're using productivity like a gambling addict uses the slot machines, like a drug addict uses the next hit. Now, that mindset is almost required to achieve something grand or bigger than yourself. You need to grind to get yourself moving, but it won't get you all of the way. Think of it like that grinding has got you moving in the general direction of where you need to go. But it's in the acknowledgement of what you can't get done. It's in the compassion you show yourself. It's in the appreciation for the present that will show you the specific route you need to take towards the ultimate goal, which I'm assuming it's the same for you as it is for me. The ultimate goal is fulfillment and meaning. And you're not going to get fulfillment and meaning if you're constantly being productive, if you're constantly grinding, because you won't take a moment just to appreciate what's going on now. There needs to be a sufficient balance between the work and the appreciation. And when you're first going, you can scrap the appreciation and you can start moving in that general direction. But without appreciation and without taking a step back and appreciating and being grateful for the life that you have now, you're not going to get to that 100%. You're not going to get to that ultimate goal of fulfillment and meaning. And Chris Williamson said, the tools you need to get from 0 to 50 are not the same to get you from 90 to 95. The problem with the social media and online landscape is they focus too much on the 0 to 50. On the people who just need to get going. It encourages productivity far more than it encourages self-compassion or rest or doing less. At least my algorithm certainly does. And so for us high-aiming productivity types, the message we need to hear is Berkman's. But what we usually end up hearing is Hermose's or Willink's or Goggins's. And don't get me wrong, again, those messages are incredibly useful and motivating to people who struggle with the opposite problem. But for those of us who toxically berate ourselves and force ourselves into productivity, that's not the message we need to hear, and it can lead to further toxic productivity. Hi guys, just a quick message before we get back to the episode. If you're enjoying this episode, you'll love the rest of the content on my channel. So please like and subscribe. It genuinely means a lot. I know everyone says that on their YouTube channel, but it genuinely does mean a lot. It genuinely supports the podcast, and it makes me feel better. So you'd be doing a good thing. Please subscribe for more content like this. Now let's get back to the episode. The issue, like a lot of issues in our modern culture and society, is we always seem to overcorrect. We're facing a problem one way here, and we attempt to solve it. But instead of stopping once it's solved, we overcorrect and create another problem over here. So we started here. Perhaps we were unproductive at this point. Maybe we struggled at school. Maybe our lives weren't going anywhere positive. Then perhaps we heard the message of those ultra-productive types. Perhaps that motivated us to get up and aim upwards and take action, which is great. But the more we got used to that mindset, the more action we needed to take to feel productive. And now both sides of this pendulum are toxic. Both sides come at a cost. But the side of productivity and ambition is more enticing, and it's harder to let go of because we celebrate it. We celebrate the entrepreneurs who live and breathe their work, who sleep at the office, who prioritize their work over everything else. We celebrate achievement. But that side can be toxic, just like the other side. Just like a drug addict needs more and more drugs to relieve the pain they feel, we end up needing more and more achievement throughout the day. We need to accomplish more. We need to do more to feel productive or accomplished. And since this was our mindset, it's likely that our social media algorithm clocked onto that, and thus the algorithm plasters our screens with extreme motivating content aimed at people who you were before, not who you are now. But this unwittingly spurred you on to try and squeeze more and more out of the day, and now you're stuck in this never enough mindset in which you never feel satisfied and you're constantly delaying gratification, sacrificing today for a potentially better tomorrow. But what happens when tomorrow comes? We, of course, start the cycle over again and get back to making the next tomorrow better. Whew. So that's toxic productivity. So what can we do about it? Well, the answer invariably, and I say invariably because this seems to be the answer to most of the problems I've discussed on this podcast, is balance. The answer was somewhere here in the middle of the pendulum. And we did get there, but we overcorrected and created a new problem here on the other side. So we need to find our way back to that middle ground. Zach Tallender said something along the lines of, be a space cadet who notices the little things. And there's nothing wrong with being the space cadet, with aiming upwards, with having lofty goals, with being productive. But there is something wrong with doing that all of the time and never acknowledging how far you've come, never gratifying yourself, never appreciating the life you have today, because you're constantly focused on tomorrow. And so you need to find a way to be the space cadet that notices the little things. In practical terms, one way to do this is by better balancing your days between telic activities and atelic activities. My guess is that all you ultra-productive types spend most of your day doing telic activities. They're those that are done to achieve some higher or specific goal or end result. Lifting weights could be a telic activity, because you're doing it to be healthy or fit or strong, not because you enjoy lifting heavy things, although you might do. Whereas atelic activities are done for their own sake. They're activities that you do for the enjoyment of the activity rather than the result it produces. So playing video games could be one. You're doing it because you enjoy it, not necessarily because it produces any productive end result. The key is to balance your day between telic activities and atelic activities, or activities that are a combination of both. This podcast is a good example of a combination. I'm not solely doing it because I enjoy writing the episodes and interviewing people, even though that's true. I'm also doing it because I want to achieve a higher goal with it. But it's not always fun. Sometimes it feels like a chore. But I know that it's all worth it. And there has been and there will be times when I will enjoy it. And it'll feel easy. Writing this felt easy. It was fun. But sometimes writing episodes is like pulling teeth trying to write anything. You'll know if an activity is a combination of telic and atelic because some days you won't feel like doing it and other days it will feel easy and you'll be motivated and inspired to do it. These activities usually mean that the activity is important. And if you're willing to do them when they are telic activities, then it's usually worthwhile. Another good example for me is playing guitar. I'm not playing guitar to be a professional or a famous musician. I'm doing it because I enjoy it. But there will be a productive result in that I will get better at it. Another practical way to tackle toxic productivity is to refrain from punishing yourself. Now, my therapist put it like this. You want to be the compassionate coach who's kind, pays attention to how you feel, and encourages you, not the tyrannical sergeant who pushes you constantly and berates you when you stop. So, to sum up, toxic productivity arises when you feel pressure to do everything all of the time. When your self-worth is tied to what you accomplish, not who you are. When you use productivity as a distraction from emotions or existential questions. when you constantly postpone gratification, always chasing tomorrow instead of appreciating today, and when you're stuck in the never enough mindset, driven by ultra productive role models and the ultra disciplined messages you see on social media. Secondly, there's no free lunch. And as much as cultivating this ultra productive and disciplined mindset can produce amazing results, it comes at the cost of rest, satisfaction, and self-compassion. And it also produces a chronic dissatisfaction without any gratification. And so the overarching solution to all of this is balance. Find your way back to the middle ground between overworking and underachieving. Notice and celebrate what you accomplish. Be the space cadet who aims up and notices the little things. How great your life is now. Rebalance your day with telic activities, those that are done for some higher goal, and atelic activities, those that are done for their own sake. And find activities that could be a combination of the two. And lastly, turn that tyrannical sergeant in your head into an inspirational, encouraging, and compassionate coach who wants the best for you. The answer lies in the struggle. So keep on struggling.